It's already been a month since the Mountain to Valley rally race, and I took this long to get this video out. A lot has happened in this month, but that's irrelevant to the point. Let's talk about that week. And Mountain to Valley is yearly and annual race taking place always late May and the beginning of June, which is not the optimal time to hold a 24-hour race because inevitably someone will need to run in the high noon heat and sun, and that someone was me this time. Well, me and many other people. The format of the race is you set off from a point which is high up, and it's the mountain thing, and end up in the valley. Yeah. It has 19 legs, and you can do it in many different ways. There is the competitive circuit, and there is the community circuit, which we did. In the competitive circuit, you need at least 6 people, and then each of them does 3 legs. So you do person 1, person 2, person 3, then again 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. And that's very tough because you only have like between 2 and 4 hours to rest between your legs. And as someone that did only 2 legs the entire race, that was difficult enough. So I don't know how the competitive people do it. We as a community, we were, I think, 14 people, something like that. Some of us only did 1 leg, some of us did 2 or 3, each according to their ability and their physical performance and their mood and whatever. This was my first time, and I still decided to do 2 legs because I wanted to experience the event to the fullest. In previous video, I talked about my preparation a bit, so I started running. As I mentioned, the race was in the beginning of June. I started actually running in the end of January, and I think only at the end of March I started really practicing proper running with a program, sort of training for it. So while I'm in shape, I'm not the worst. I did see people that were in not as good a shape as I am. And this event really brings out a lot of different people, older people, younger people, very different walk of life, very different fitness level. So it really is a community event. Everyone can do it. It will be difficult, but everyone really can do it, and it shouldn't deter anyone from coming and experiencing it. So this was my first leg. I started 12:30 at noon, and I ran for 11.5 kilometers in scorching 36 degrees Celsius. By the end of it, I was destroyed, really. There was no shade for the entire... Well, there was a little bit of shade, but mostly there was no shade. The only redeeming factor was wind. Most of the time there was wind, and it was mostly flat terrain up until the end. The end was going up in elevation, and that was really, really difficult to run like an hour and a half and then go up the hill like that. Now, obviously, I didn't run continuously the entire way. I ran some of it, walked some of it, ran some of it, walked some of it. I took breaks. When you are running in such intense heat, the important thing is to prioritize your physical well-being first and timing later. And that's what I did. What you see here is our camp, if you can call it that, our preparation site. There was a person that came with us that he was in charge of logistics, so he made us food and made sure we drank and everything. And it was really nice. So beside the physical challenge, there was also the camaraderie, the community, being together with everyone, and that was really nice. One of the reasons I joined the event. So the first leg, the challenge really was the heat, and my two legs were in similar lengths, around 11 and a half, 12 kilometers each. That's also a challenge since it was the most I ever ran. My prep runs were around 8 to 9 kilometers. And when I did the race, the Mountain to Valley, that's when I really felt that where my limits are. So 8 to 9 to maybe 10 kilometers is where I hit the wall, really. And beyond that, I really had to push myself to continue to go on. So right now in my skill capabilities, running interval for 8 kilometers is I don't know if I call it the sweet spot, but really where my ceiling is, and beyond that I'm starting to decline a lot. After that, we ate, I rested, I took a shower, everything, and I prepared for the night leg, which I set out at around 9:30. I didn't film a lot of either of the runs themselves. I tried to film more of the noon run, but I had some issues with my camera, and also just trying to face the challenge of the race itself while holding up the camera and everything was difficult, and I don't think it was worth it, so I didn't. I filmed very little from the runs. I tried to film a bit from the activities around it. So here I just put the camera on a tripod, and I filmed a bit from the camp, from my preparation area and everything. And then I went on to my night walk. I filmed a bit of the ambience so you can see. The challenge here, obviously there was no sun, there was no heat, it was fine. There were hell of humidity. When I finished, I was drenched in sweat because it's night and there is no sun and there was no wind. The sweat can't evaporate, so you end up completely covered with it. So that was one thing. The other thing was the complete darkness. There was times where I was surrounded by hills and trees, and it was scary, genuinely scary. And then at the end of the leg, it was 2 kilometers of a hike, straight up hike. That was no run, you just took a hike up a hill, and that was very challenging. So each leg has its own challenge and different things to face and deal with yourself. So while at the beginning of my second leg I had a really good pace and I ran a lot more than my first one, by the end of it my pace was grown to a halt, and I ended up taking 2 hours to complete that 12 kilometers. I'm not upset by it, that's just the reality of it. I take the challenge of each of the legs that I did, and it was by the end, it was great. I really enjoyed the entire experience. Here we are getting our participation medals, and as you could see, we went to the finish line and ran together as a group into the finish line, and it was really cool. And yeah, when it was over, I was completely at my limit, and I didn't know if I would ever do it again. But I will tell you now that after having a few weeks to take it all in and digest the event, I think it was great. I think it was worth the challenge. I think it was worth my time, and I will do it again. I hope that next time it will be a bit earlier in the year. Again, sometimes it's 2 weeks earlier, and that can make a huge difference in terms of the weather and the heat. So I hope next time it will be a little less hot. I will do different legs. I will see different parts of the tracks. And yeah, I'm also planning on doing other races. In November there is a 10-kilometer race near me, so I think about doing that stuff and similar stuff. I'm really trying to put myself in new situation and to give myself more challenge as part of my experimentation with fitness and sport and stuff. And that's the end. Here we are at the final, a bit of a talk. Adam is our head guy, and he motivates us and bring us together. So that was great.